Okay.
Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. This is the continuation of the Chandrian video because, again, we just went off the rails and it's too long, so we had to split it in half. So here we go, part 2. So, continuing on with more facts about the Chandrian. So we're gonna go into the physical descriptions of them during the scene where they first appear and murder his family. We've got Cinder, who just has a really long and scary description, basically, which I'm not gonna read, but it's just very scary. We've got a bald man with a gray beard. I don't know who that is, which one of them that is. Okay. And then we have Haliax.
Okay.
So those are the only 3 in that scene that it actually describes anything about them. So then for Haliax, during this part, this is where he says, "You seem to forget our purpose, or does your purpose simply differ from my own?" So here we go with the what is their purpose question. He says at Cinder, "You are a tool in my hand, nothing more. I'm glad I decided to accompany you today. You are straying, indulging in whimsy. Some of you seem to have forgotten what it is we seek, what we wish to achieve." What do you wish to achieve? What is your purpose?
You know how they say oh, if you say their names, they'll come kill you. Maybe it's not that they will kill you, it's just that it alerts them, oh, somebody's talking about us. And it's not like they have to kill you, Cinder just likes murder. So he'll be like, "Ooh, somebody's talking about me, I'm gonna go kill him." And that's why Haliax is like, "Yo, dude, what are you doing? Stop."
I don't know, they're sitting around this fire, just chilling after murdering all these people. What are they talking about? Haliax is there, he's like, "Oh, I'm glad I came with you today. You all are getting too fond of murdering people, I guess." But he's not reprimanding all of them. He's just chilling. Quoth's father says he thinks he figured out what their purpose is, and he's gonna put it in the song.
What is it?
He won't say! Of course, he doesn't say it. He's like, "Oh, you gotta wait until you hear the song to know. I'm not gonna tell you."
Maybe that's why they killed them.
Yeah, probably. Seemingly, they kill people who have knowledge about them. But why? And why only some people? Because what he says, at some point, is the Chandrian obviously didn't kill everyone who gathered stories or sang songs about them. So what made my parents' song so different?
Maybe that it was the truth.
Right, that he knew the actual truth.
I don't know why his dad figured it out and no one else can.
Right, I don't know where he was looking. What are his resources?
Is his dad just magical? And he knows things? Because remember Lauren was like, "Oh, I've got this song from him in the archive." And I was like, why? But maybe it has some truth.
Yeah.
Or something inside. His father just knows. He has the ability to know things in the world. And he just happens to make it as a song because he's a singer.
I feel like there is more to his father than meets the eye. Because of that connection with Lauren, and because he did somehow figure out all this information about the Chandrian, even though he's just a trooper, where's he going to learn this stuff?
Yeah, where's he getting?
I don't know. They're just traveling around.
He's meditating, and it's coming into his mind from the universe or something like that.
I don't know. Does he have any Fae connections? I don't know.
Oh, he just goes to chat with the fairies?
Maybe, when they're just parked outside of a greystone.
Maybe the fairies know the truth. Who else is chatting with the fairies? No one. So they don't know.
Yeah, right, yeah.
What the truth is. But maybe the fairies know what the truth is about the Chandrian.
Yeah, maybe they do.
Felurian just refused to talk about it, right? She didn't say she didn't know. She was like, "We're not talking about that." Yeah,
she was like, "No, we don't speak about this. Don't ever." And she threatens him really intensely. If you speak about I'm not going to, and if you ask me again, I'm gonna kill you. But also, Bast says, "Oh, Ix talked to the Cthaeh, and Lonray talked to the Cthaeh." So presumably Bast has Lonray information. What does Bast know about the Chandrian?
Is that how he met Bast?
Maybe. I was like, is that why he's homies with Bast?
Maybe in the 3rd book, Quoth will discover that his father was getting all the info from the fairies, and he was like, "Well, I need to get info from the fairies.
Yeah.
Can't go back to Felurian, fuck that, I gotta find another fairy." And then somehow finds Bast, and is like, "Hey, I'm trying to get info about the Chandrian.
Yeah.
Will you tell me?" And then maybe Bast is like, "I'll tell you, but you have to train me."
Right.
Whatever it is that he's learning, that we don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know how he found Bast. I don't know what Bast is doing.
Right.
Is he in the world? Is it just like, heard a rumor, like, oh, this guy's a fairy. I'm like, I'm gonna go find him.
Yeah, but I definitely, that seems plausible to me, honestly, that he got Chandrian info from Bast, and that's why they're friends. So then in this scene, something comes and scares away the Chandrian before they can kill him. But the other question is, what is that? What is the thing that they are afraid of? And all that Haliax says is, they come, and then he pieces out. But
is it the angels?
I don't know, because, like, the things that they presumably fear, which he says in this thing, are the Amyr, the Singers, and the Sith. In the instance when Cinder is in the bandit camp, he looks up at the sky in the concerned way, the same way that they do in that other scene. Like, in the first moment, nothing happens. Like, nothing actually comes and talks to Quoth. But in the camp, when Martin is praying to Tolu and the angels, the lightning comes and strikes the tree and, like, kills them all or whatever. So, like, is that the angels that came and scared them away? Or is it the Amyr that came? Because he doesn't say, like, we're afraid of the angels. But it seems more likely that...
maybe the angels are the singers.
Maybe. Yeah, it could be. Because it seems more likely that the angels would come help him because he was praying to them, you know, in that moment.
Are the Amyr, like, supernatural? Or are they just people?
Is anyone? Felurian says, initially, none of the Amyr were human. But Celatos was the founding Amyr. So, again...
what was Celatos? He was not
well,
human?
again, it's before they split. So I don't understand. Like... are we human? Are we human or are we Chandrian? Like, I don't understand. I would assume that the Shapers became fairies. Like, the Shapers are fairies because they can do all this shaping, like, glamoury, changing magic stuff, right? Then the Knowers are, like, human-esque creatures that maybe they weren't necessarily humans to start, but they were just, like, a being that was human-like. And then
they became humans?
Yeah, like, as the years went on, they kind of, you know...
They evolved into humans?
Or they, like, lost the affinity for naming. Like, not everyone has the naming abilities, so it kind of, like, got more dispersed in the world. So, like, these people that have naming abilities are more, like, inhuman, but the general population lost that ability, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. So, like, the Amyr initially were presumably those types of, you know, non-human people. But I don't know about the current Amyr. Like, I don't know if...
maybe in the modern day.
Right, if they're still, like, recruiting people to this day, like, maybe they're recruiting normal humans.
Do you think that the angel or whatever is attacking, is it just always after the Chandrian? And that's why they have to run away all the time? And that maybe that's why they can't accomplish anything? It's because, like, they're like, oh, it's coming! Like, whatever they do, it just, like, is always chasing them. Because why would it come in that moment when the Quoth is just standing there?
I don't know. That's...
unless it's always looking for them.
I don't know, that's why it's weird. Like, why did those two moments elicit the same response? I guess another question I have is, are the Amyr actually actively still looking for them? Because the Cthaeh says if Quoth did find the Amyr, they might actually help him. Which implies that the Amyr are interested in fighting the Chandrian, but not necessarily that they are actively doing it themselves. But, like, if that was their original purpose, created by Celatos, their purpose was to hunt down Lanre. I don't know if, like, their purpose changed in the last 5,000 years, or what. Because I don't know what the other stories of the Amyr are about. Like, they're just running around doing things for the greater good of the world, but is it actually related to the Chandrian, or are they just doing whatever they want? Like, so then we have information that we get about the Chandrian from the books in the archives. He's got all these children's stories that feature the Chandrian engaged in minor mischief, like stealing pies and making milk go sour. And then there's, like, fanciful details, like, they live in clouds and dreams in a castle made of candy. Their signs are thunder and the darkening of the moon and rainbows. I'm just like, what? And then we've got the Book of Secrets, which is a book that he finds that has the poem about them. And there's no picture, but there's a decorative scroll work on the page. And we had a comment from one of our viewers on some video from Derek Schall, who said maybe this scroll work was some kind of, like, Yiddish knot or something, or, like, some other kind of language that is describing something else about them. And then this person that made the comment also says that this book is mentioned in the Jack story, and in the Ari story, she has it in her room. So that's just all generally suspicious. So then we have the poem itself from this book, which is so whack, but I'm gonna read it again because I talked about it a little bit in the other video, but I have to read it again because it's so whack. The Chandrian move from place to place, but they never leave a trace. They hold their secrets very tight, but they never scratch and they never bite. They never fight and they never fuss. In fact, they are quite nice to us. They come and they go in the blink of an eye, like a bright bolt of lightning out of the sky. So really, this is so whack because I'm like, I really just feel like the Chandrian like came in here and wrote this themselves. Like they were really just like, let's get rid of all the other info and like create a fanfic of ourselves. Like, let's say we're actually good. Let's say we live in the clouds and have rainbow powers. Like, what? Why would anyone else write that?
Why would they do that,
Why
though?
would anyone write that? I don't know.
If the Chandrian are putting that info out there, like, I kind of get the impression that the Chandrian, like, want people to be scared of them.
Well,
Don't they?
yeah.
At least Cinder, because we're saying Cinder, he only turns on his eye powers when he's killing people to be scary.
I feel like everyone should be wanting them to be scary. Like, I mean, it says they never leave a trace. Like, yes, they do.
That's not true.
That's not true.
Yeah.
They leave traces everywhere they go. Like, they're always burning things down.
That's what I'm saying, it's the opposite.
Well, yeah, and I mean, then it says they never scratch, bite, or fight. Clearly they do. Clearly they're killing people.
Yeah.
Like, they're not nice to us. They're not nice to us. Why would you write that?
Maybe they're just nice to whoever wrote that book.
Well, but like, the question is, why would they be trying to convince children that they shouldn't be afraid of them? If you think they're a creature and a monster and you're listing them in this bestiary book, shouldn't you be warning about the dangers of them and convincing the children to not try to befriend them and not try to look for them? But like, by saying that they're good and nice to a child, wouldn't that make the child be like, oh, the Chandrian are so nice, like they live in the clouds and candy.
Maybe the Chandrian did write the book, and the reason that they want people to think they're good is so they can get them.
It's like people in the world think that they're just story creatures, right? Like they don't think they're real. But why do they think they're good story creatures? Or like, why do some people think that they're like okay, but some of them are like, we don't talk about it? What's
this little song that the children sing? Maybe maybe they were pretending to be good in the past.
Maybe, and then they just were like, fuck it, we're evil now.
Well, okay, I have a thought, but can you please read the thing?
Okay, so here's the song, yeah. When the hearth fire turns to blue, what to do, run outside, run and hide. When his eyes are black as crow, where to go, near and far, here they are. See a man without a face, move like ghosts from place to place. What's their plan, Chandrian.
No, what I was gonna say was, because we were speculating a minute ago that Haliax took over Lanre, and he became Haliax. So maybe they're kind of like in there, and they're kind of fighting for control, but like Lanre's not evil, but Haliax is. So maybe sometimes they were good in the past, but now Haliax is in control, so now they're bad.
Why would the rest of them be like, are we good or are we bad? Like, what's going on? Like... They're just here for the ride. They're just like, whatever.
Do they just do whatever Lanre says? Like, he's like, you're my tool. Like, are they just like his slaves?
Yeah.
They have to do whatever he wants? Why?
Right. I don't know. That's the other question. Why didn't they choose this of their own free will? I mean, they didn't because they were cursed by Celotos. It's like Celotos cursed him and his followers.
Like, I want to know how old is the book that says that?
This
book? They have rainbows.
If it's the same book that's mentioned in the Jack story, where he's like, it's only mentioned in like a very one sentence where it says the tinker guy that gave Jax all his stuff or whatever, like had a book of secrets is what it says. I guess it can be
Are you saying that Chandrian was already a story before they existed?
Right, well that doesn't make any sense, so no.
Like, are you saying that Haliax was like, I remember this book that this man gave me, and it said there were this Chandrian and they don't bite? We're gonna call ourselves the Chandrian. Like, is that what you said?
Maybe. I don't... If Haliax had that book,
so they
Jack's
were...
Haliax...
Wait... They were mythical creatures. They were not real.
But then
they became real because he was like, we're gonna call ourselves the Chandrian after the mythological creatures. And they were like, okay.
Yeah. Could be.
So that's why Quoth is like, oh, they're real, but it's not the same thing.
Right, it's not the real ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Because in that book, it doesn't say they have signs and like shit, does it? If these books are from before the war.
All of the books,
or it's just retelling an old ancient story.
Right, maybe. Like that's the original story, and then all these other ones are just going off of that. But then once Haliax took up the name of Chandrian, he was like doing different stuff, so then that's why all the information is like some people are afraid of them, but some people aren't, because they did do bad things, but they did do good things. Yeah, I see. Yeah. That could
like
could
it was a fake story. It was a story about, you know, mythological creatures that cause mischief and maybe they have rainbow powers.
Yeah.
And then Haliax read the book, and when he became evil, Lanre possessed him. He was like, okay, I've got this group of followers. We're all fucked up creatures. We're gonna be the Chandrian. I'm gonna name ourselves after the creatures from the book.
Yeah.
And then they're the ones that are doing evil, but like originally it was just a story. This is my theory now. I'm into it. Yeah, this is real.
Yeah. Right, okay, so then we have... The only other book that he finds is this other one that's called A Quaint Compendium of Folk Belief. And then this is the weird one that has like all the weird capital letters that I was talking about in our other conspiracy video. So, I don't know, I find it like suspicious, and I find it doubly suspicious that the word arrival is capitalized, because I was like, is he trying to like call them to himself?
Does it say when that creation war was?
No, but I think the Cthaeh says Haliax has been around for 5,000 years.
Time is different in the fairy world. Has it been 5,000 years in the fairy time or in the human time?
I don't know.
Well, the Cthaeh's in the fairy world, so maybe it's been 5,000 years for him. But in the human world, it's less time?
I don't know. But you know what else I don't understand is, when did Lanre talk to the Cthaeh? Like, when was Lanre in the fairy world? Before he burned Merterenial, is what Bast says, but like, that would be like after he was infected by Haliax, if we're going by that theory. But like, so I guess Haliax.
So yeah, maybe he
is homies with the Cthaeh, because he talked to him before he stole the moon. He talked to him before he stole the moon. Before he stole the moon, there was no fairy world. So the Cthaeh just existed. Like, it was just there somewhere. It was just somewhere, and then Haliax found it and talked to it, and then it became part of the fairy world. Just nothing makes sense. I don't. So then we have the vase, right? This is the other physical description. So on this vase, it says there's a woman holding a broken sword, a man next to a dead tree, another man with a dog biting his leg, a fire, I don't know what any of that means, one with white hair and black eyes, which is Cinder, one with no face, just a hood with nothing inside, which is Haliax. And for him, it says there was a mirror by his feet and a bunch of moons over him, which, again, leads towards him being Haliax, because he's the one that's dealing with the moon. So it says there's a full moon, a half moon, a silver moon, and then a woman with some of her clothes off, which at one point I was like, is it Felurian? I doubt it, but you know, who knows? She's the only woman around with no clothes on. So then that's what Nina says when she's first talking to him, like that's what she was trying to remember it looking like, and then she comes and gives him the picture that she drew. So in the picture, it specifies more Cinder standing on water with a bare tree behind him, with drifts of snow around him. And then I was kind of like, is this tree the Cthaeh? Like, because
Did Cinder talk to the Cthaeh?
Well, the Cthaeh says, when he's talking about Cinder, he says, maybe this Cinder did me a bad turn once. Maybe it amuses me to set you snapping at his heels. So I was like, did Cinder interact with the Cthaeh? Like,
did he hurt it somehow?
I don't know.
Did something bad
he pissed it off, and the Cthaeh is like, man, fuck that guy. Like, yeah, go kill him or whatever.
Did the Cthaeh used to not live in the tree? What if it was just running around like a living being? And that's when he was talking to that's when he was talking to Lanre and shit.
Yeah, maybe.
Before there's Frey Worlds. And then when it became the Frey Worlds, he somehow, like, he got bound to that tree. Maybe Cinder caused that somehow. And he's like, oh, Cinder fucked me up.
Yeah. I don't know why
and
Cinder would do that.
You know, he was talking to all these people. Because he's a bitch. He's a prey.
So then the Haliax part of the drawing, it says he has 3 moons over him. And then it says, next to him were 2 candles. One yellow with a bright orange flame, the other underneath his outstretched hand, gray with a black flame. The space around it is his shadow. So I don't know what those candles mean. I don't know what that means.
Got other colors of fire, too?
I don't know. Is it death? The fires of death? I don't know. Shadow, gray, black fire? Like, what? And then the other part is the Amyr guy that she draws, which seems like it's making a gesture of rebuke towards Haliax, or holding up his hand to stop him. And then, again, she says he is the worst one. He looked so angry. He looked like he was ready to burn down the whole world. So, clearly this represents the Amyr Cthaeh guy fighting the Chandrian, or somehow opposing them.
So is the first part of the picture the Chandrian also? Because it was like woman with sword.
Yeah.
Is that the same woman that was naked?
Well, I don't know. It seems
women?
like there's more than one woman, because he says in the first scene, like, men and women sitting around the fire. Yeah.
So are we gonna try to figure out who's what?
I guess we could. I mean...
Is Broken Sword the iron?
If that's a different woman from the pale one, I guess it could be, or...
But you said the woman was the blight.
The blight, yeah, the pale woman is the blight.
So is
she the naked lady? Maybe. And then this man next to a dead tree, well, that... It seems like it could be the decay guy, like, killing the tree, but in the other picture, she makes it seem like that's Cinder. And then another guy with a dog biting his leg. I don't know what that's about. Never speaks. Thrall of Iron, Blue Flame. I don't know why it would be any of them.
What does the dog mean? That's so weird.
I don't know. That is weird. That's so random.
Like, it must be, like, symbolic, right? I would think that it must be, like, a metaphor for something.
Yeah. So, then we're getting into Master Ash. So, speaking of, like, descriptions, I know I talk about it every day, but, you know, here I am again. I'm once again asking you to believe that Master Ash is Cinder. Okay, I'm not going to go into it in as much detail because it's, as you may know, or you may not know if you're only watching this video, in our first Conspiracy Top 10 video, I discussed at length the Cinder, Master Ash, Brayden theory, that I think they're all the same person. So I'm not going to go into as much detail here, but I have to bring it up because it's just so suspicious. There's literally 0% chance that Master Ash is not at least one of the Chandrian. Like, I am sorry.
Maybe he's the one with the beard.
Right, like, maybe it's not Cinder. Okay, if we're saying that Cinder can't change his eyes and he's only ever has black eyes, maybe it's not Cinder. Okay, maybe it's one of the other ones. But it has to be one of the other ones. Because, like, the whole situation is so suspicious. Like, we know for a fact he was at the wedding. We know that he went back to the farm when the screaming and fire started. We know that he survived it and came back to her and disappeared. And we know pretty darn certainly that the Chandrian are the ones that did that. So, like... And we just assume that it's Cinder of all of them because of the naming situation. But, I mean, you could say that it is one of the other ones. Like, maybe it's the fire one, and that's why the fire was at the wedding, you know? I don't know. He's obsessed with his privacy. He won't tell me his real name for more than a span. We've never met in the same place twice, and never in public. Sometimes he doesn't even show up. Literally, like, if he is not one of the Chandrian, you can, like... hang that over my head for the rest of my life because I firmly believe this. So then I specifically wanted to talk more about Denna's song and like how they're researching together, her and her patron. So basically Quoth asks her why she decided to write her song about this topic, Lanre. And she says she found a version of it in an old book while doing genealogical research for her patron. So first of all, I'm like, If Quoth can't find a single thing about the Chandrian / Lanre in the archives or anywhere he's ever been, like, where exactly is she and her patron looking that they were able to find this? Like, genealogical research? Like, what does that even mean? Like, the genealogy of the Chandrian? Like, you end up learning...
Of the Lackless.
Right, like, you end up learning about Lanre suddenly while you're doing genealogical research. Like, whose genealogy were you originally researching and then you just happened to come across Lanre? Like,
do you think that if Brayden is Cinder, that he planted the info to make her write that song because he knew that Lanre was mad at him and he wanted to make him happy, so he's like, here's a nice little song about how great you are?
Like, who else is, like, it seems more plausible that they were looking up Lanre's history and trying to figure out, like, if Lanre is the Lackless, if they are trying to figure out, like, who the current Lacklesses are, or, like, what happened to Lanre's bloodline. Like, theoretically, if Lanre and Lyra had children, which it never says that they do, but I probably could have, there's no reason they wouldn't have had children before all the war, all that happened. So, like, if they were just researching Lanre's history for whatever reason to try to find his ancestors?
Yeah, why?
I don't know!
I was gonna say, what if Cinder, like, wants to get rid of Lanre so that he can be in charge? Because he's like, I'm tired of you bossing me around.
Maybe.
I don't want to be your tool. I want to do what I want.
Yeah.
And it's, like, parallel to the Shapers. Like, I want to do what I want.
Yeah.
But, so maybe he's researching, so he's trying to find, like, his weakness or something. Which doesn't make any sense, because if Lanre wants to die, then that would be helping him.
Is it because are they trying to find the Lackless people so that they can open the door? Like, so they can open the door. Yeah, like they need Lackless blood, or like specifically a boy, like a son of Lackless, to open the door. So they're trying to figure out, like, who are these people and, like, where did that bloodline go? Like, where are they? So maybe that's what they're researching.
And this is their first time trying to do that in 5,000
I mean, maybe they've tried all these other things. They're just now thinking, how about this? What about this thing? I don't know, man.
But still, why would there be info about Lanre?
Right, it's like... why? Like, does Cinder just have the information in his head? Like, he's just giving it to her? Like, she didn't actually read it in the books? She's just, like... He's telling her this? Like, she's hanging out with the Chandrian, and they're like, oh, yeah, here's the history. This is what happened. We're actually good, though. Like, Santos is the bad one. Like...
Does she really think that they're good?
It's also suspicious, because... You know how, when they were at the wedding... And they're looking at the stuff and they realize that the signs are the signs of the Chandrian, and he's like, you remember that song about the Chandrian? They're like singing it together and they're like, oh shit, you're right, this is the Chandrian. Like, she was in full agreement that was the Chandrian. But then, mysteriously, when she's singing this song and he says, you know, in the version I learned, Lanre was a Chandrian, she's like, the Chandrian? They're not real, like, you're such a child. It's like, oh. So it's so suspicious that she's suddenly, after having spent all this time with Master Ash, she's suddenly like, the Chandrian aren't real.
She's lying, or she got her memory fucked up.
I guess.
Right?
Yeah.
Those are the only two options.
I guess those are the only two options. Yeah. She got her...
Like, either she's lying because she found out that she was working with the Chandrian, and they're like, you can't tell people that.
Right, exactly.
You just need to say, Lanre was good, this is the real story, but don't tell him that the Chandrian's real. So that's why he was like, yeah, the Chandrian. She's like, oh, no, definitely don't believe in that.
Yeah, right.
Or something fucked up her memories.
Master Ash did this to her?
Or she's just fucked up because she has her weird soul shit that's fucked up.
So she's the same as Haliax. They're like two things inside of her, like, fighting, and sometimes she's Denna, sometimes she's not, like...
Oh, I don't know, because you know when she was like, yeah, I died as a baby.
Yeah, I know, that's whack.
Or whatever, her weird story. Maybe it caused something's wrong with her.
Right, maybe. See, that's the same thing. It's like she died and then was reborn. It's the same thing that happened to Lanre. Like,
if it's Lyra, maybe Lyra wrote the song because she was like, I want to believe that Lanre is good.
What other things that she says about this? She says she's pieced the story together from 100 little scraps with her patron. And then she says, maybe he's trying to invent a historic ancestor for himself. So I'm like, what? And then she says, I half suspect the song is for Alvaron himself. Why? So you can brainwash him? Like, what are you talking about? You gonna brainwash him with your braids and your good song? Like, so that you can take over his future son, the Lackless heir? Like, you know? So then, basically, Quoth compares her song to the song that his father was writing by saying, like, she's doing the same things that he did, like, trying to dig up all this information all over the world. And yet, the Chandrian have not killed her. So is it simply because she moves around so much? Like, that's what Quoth says about his father. Like, they were like...
Well, she's working with
right,
them.
or she's part of them.
I think it's a lie.
You think what's a lie?
All the research that they were doing. That she's like, I got all the scraps of information. I think Cinder just told her the information.
Or, I mean, maybe he's, you know, telling her that. Like, he's trying to make it seem like he's not a Chandrian, and he just is...
Like, oh, I researched this! Yeah, this is what I found! That's the question, is Denna aware of it or not?
Right. That is the question. Any other thoughts that you have about the Chandrian? That sure was a lot of things I said, but, do we really have any answers? No, we sure don't.
No. What's the number one question?
What are they doing?
Yeah.
What is their purpose?
Like, what is their actual goal?
Yeah.
What are they trying to do? Because I kind of feel like whatever Cinder's doing is not the same as, like, what Haliax is doing. Haliax has a goal and he has his follower, but then Cinder keeps doing his own thing. That's making him mad.
Right.
But clearly, like, Cinder's off running around with bandits and, like, probably interacting with Denna. I feel like he might be just doing his own thing. I don't know why. Maybe he's trying to, like, overthrow Haliax. Maybe he wants to be in charge. He's sick of it. But I don't know what either of those goals are.
Yeah, I agree. Well, if you have any thoughts about the Chandrian, please let us know in the comments.
Thank you guys for watching another exciting Name of the Wind discussion video. Let us know your conspiracy theories. Let us know if you agree or if you disagree. We'll see you next time.
See you later.